Once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Dr. Daniela, our CEO. Good evening, with my seniors in the profession, Dr. Daniela, Dr. David, and Dr. Elizabeth. Uh, the purpose for this meeting, I first want to apologize for randomly changing the meeting from tomorrow to today. It is due to Dr.'s tight schedule. Probably she will explain herself why she wouldn't be able to make it for tomorrow's meeting. But ladies and gentlemen, this meeting today is due to the meeting we had in November. Just to take you back, a meeting we had in November 23rd, the year 2019, where we had the young pharmacist group that had met for a meeting at Jumuiya Resort at All Saints Cathedral. And the purpose for that meeting was to bring together all the young pharmacists so that they're able to they're able to address the issues together and in unison. So after that meeting and after the meeting at Jumuiya, we had to have we were to vote in the persons who would be leading the young pharmacists. But due to time constraints, we were not able. But a few were able to join in. The few who attended the meeting were able to select and those who showed interest to vie in the various positions. So, ladies and gentlemen, after some members showed the interest, we want to have our elections this year in January, in the beginning of the year. January was a bit tight from the office side in February, so we want to have the elections in March. Voila, COVID happened. It wasn't within our means. Now that is why we are still at a point of March, still in December. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of the profession, we in the month of after the conference, after the virtual conference, Dr. Esther Nyango said that we need now to proceed with speed to ensure that the group is active, so that once we are able to ensure that the group is active, we are able to liaise even with the FIP for the young pharmacist. Young pharmacists at FIP, and also be able to begin our mentorship programs. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a brief history of where we are coming from and now where we are headed to. So, I will probably want to introduce each and every person who is here, and I'll go through some names that and Dr. Daniel, the names that were sent to the CEO as the members of the interim leadership. And this is the reason why I call it interim is because PSK is going to conduct its election next year. PSK is going to conduct its election next year, and that is where everybody else shall be voted in. Ladies and gentlemen, there were people. We divided the categories into the chairmanship, the secretary, the treasurer, CPD liaison, and an FIP liaison. For the chairmanship position, there was Dr. Elizabeth Kilonzo, whom in unison they agreed would lead the team all together. Then there was Dr. Lawi Kenywa, who has sent his apologies. He will not be here today. The other one was Dr. Patricia Nyokabi. Thank you, Dr. Patricia, for joining us today. And the fourth one was Dr. David Kiratai. So under these, the people who are going to be assisting the interim chairperson, that is Dr. Elizabeth Kilonzo, are Dr. Lawi, Patricia, and David Kiratai. As the secretary, the persons to be functioning as the interim secretary, they concurrently agreed is Dr. David Odhiambo and Dr. Linda Opanga. The treasurer was unopposed. That was Dr. Wanjohi Johnson. The CPD official, the liaison is Dr. Interim CPD is Dr. Kevin Odongo, and the FIP liaison is Dr. Felicity Karemi, assisted by Dr. Esther Anyango. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Dr. Daniela. That is a brief history and up to where we are at today. And it was a much honor that probably these members will be inducted as a standing committee, as a small committee to be able to run the young pharmacist affairs, because the young pharmacists have their own interest and probably want to have their own events, such that now that's why they're asking to be given the leeway to be able to carry on as a committee. Dr. over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mbao, for that recap, and welcome to those who just joined. So I think first of all, thank you also for rescheduling on short notice, because I realized tomorrow I may not have a secure connection since I'll be at the airport at that time. And so coming back to the matters of the day, seeing the way our constitution reads, I think the space that this Young Pharmacists Forum can fit into is to be, for now, an ad hoc committee. And then at the next constitutional review, it can be made a standing committee. As Mbao later will present about the structure of PSK, you will see the standing committees that are there. And there are 5, but we have way more committees than that, which we call ad hoc committees because they're not officially recognized by the Constitution. But that does not make them any less active or functional in PSK. But I do think going forward, we need to embed the Young Pharmacists Group as a constitutional committee, the same way we have committee of fellows and the rest. In terms of elections, I think I need to a little bit more explanation how you as Young Pharmacists would like to go about elections, because the committees we have, we just approach people to chair, like, it's voluntary. We don't carry out election of committees in the national election. And I don't see that, I don't see that would be a recommendable way to go forward. We need to maintain that the national NEC is who, the president of PSK, the treasurer, and the vice president are the ones who were elected in the national elections. And then we run the Young Pharmacists Forum as, as a committee. And so the other thing that I would like to comment on is the support that the office gives committees is whenever you need to have a meeting, the secretariat, provides a meeting room that is, before COVID, we would organize a physical meeting room. Rachel at the office sends invites to members and sends reminders and confirms availability of the chair and all that. And she makes sure she prints minutes for the people attending the meetings. Now, naturally, committees run for the period of the NEC. And so every time when a new president comes or when his second term comes, then he appoints new officials to run the committees. And so that's really how I see the Young Pharmacists Group going forward. I'm not familiar with how young pharmacists operate within FIP, so I'd like to also ask you, those of you who've been involved in FIP, to let us know, how young pharmacists plug into FIP and how we can encourage your group to be active members of FIP Young Pharmacists Group. I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along, but I think for now, let's first understand the structure of PSK. Somebody's mic is noisy. If Mbao, you could present our profile. Oh, Mbao is not here anymore. Okay, let me present it myself. And then I'll take questions. Okay, Elizabeth, allow me to mute you because there's a lot of noise in your background. Oh, Mbao, you're back. We were just saying now it's now time to look at the PSK profile, after which I'll take questions and feedback.
Asante, Daktari. My apologies for dropping off. My internet is not a bit strong, but I have resolved it. Are you able to see my screen from your end, all of our distinguished guests for today?
Yes, it's clear. You can go to slideshow.
Asante. So I'll take you through a brief explanation of what PSK, and probably you'll be able to get the various functions at PSK and how best the young pharmacists can be looked into the various functions of PSK. First, PSK is the umbrella body representing all pharmacists. That is why the young pharmacists are part and parcel of PSK. The main functions, the first one is enhance compliance to ethics. In that, there is a promote ethical conduct, provide continuous medical education to ensure continuous professional development for our members. The other one is engaging self-regulation. Apart from that, PSK's function is health advocacy. It's provide policy and legislative proposals in the pharmaceutical sector informed by sound scientific research. Case example is last year we had the cannabis report that is a report developed under sound scientific research. The last but not least is promotion of welfare of the pharmacists. PSK's organization on the top tier, there is the National Governing Council. This is comprised of the president, the elected president, the treasurer, the vice president, and the other elected branch officials into the National Governing Council. Below there is the National Executive Committee, which works under the National Governing Council. The National Executive Committee is led by the president, under which the CEO sits as the secretary, where she's able to ensure that once we're coming down to the secretariat, she's running, the CEO runs the day-to-day activities of the society under the direct supervision of the National Executive Council. Under the secretariat, we're having programs. This is a docket where various programs, we engage in various programs. We have communication. This is how we talk with our members in a day-to-day. We have finance and admin, and we have standing committees. In the standing committees that are constitutionally embedded, we have the legal and ethics, we have the PR and advocacy, we have the education committee, we have the investments and budget, and we have the committee of honorable fellows. The various branches that we have include Nairobi, Coast, Nyanza, South Nyanza, Western, Tana Athi, Meru, Mount Kenya East, Turkana, North Rift, Central Rift, South Rift, Northeastern, Central, Lower Eastern, and Transport. This is a simple pictorial of what pharmacists and where pharmacists are. And most probably, this will be an area of interest for the young pharmacist to be able probably to see and know where they can best have their niche. This public health, QA research, there's Green Cross, this wellness, and thank you very much, Dr. Linda, for the video you've just done today in Matters Wellness. There is trade, there's industry, enterprise, nutraceuticals, medical waste management, and all of you. Our standard, we have a code of ethics for pharmacists, under which each and every pharmacist takes an oath, and tomorrow we'll be having an oathing ceremony for the Bachelor of Pharmacy graduating class of Kenyatta University. There is also the Green Cross, which is an accredited healthcare referral system. Our publications, we have a newsletter which is done twice a month, done bi-monthly or monthly. Then we have the Pharmaceutical Journal of Kenya, which is done quarterly. And we have, for PSK has already developed a pharmaceutical care and therapeutic management of a clinical practice guidance document for guiding in pharmaceutical care and therapeutic management of COVID-19 in Kenya. Those are the publications we currently have at PSK. Our activities, these are the events that usually happen, are predicted to happen annually. This is tentative to change on the various, depending on the various scenarios, and probably you will look at it and know that it has totally changed as per the current situation we are in of the COVID pandemic. We have the annual scientific 3-day symposium that occurs in June. That never occurred this year, but it occurred virtually. We have the Pharmacy Awareness Week, that is the week of September 25th. We have monthly branch meetings. We have custom-made forums co-created with partners. These are probably partners who want to have tailor-made events for them. We co-create. We also have webinars, which we do 2 to 3 times weekly. and we have quite a good number of participants. PSK is affiliation. We are under our regulator, there is Pharmacy and Poisons Board, the Ministry of Health. We are also a member of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, a member of the Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. We also a member of the APSIA, that is a professional society, so all professional societies in the country. We are a member of Kenya Healthcare Federation. We are also a member of the International Pharmaceutical Federation, that is FIP. Lastly, we are affiliated to all of the schools of pharmacy in the country. The membership categories, we have the full membership, that is those are pharmacists registered by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to practice in Kenya. We also have the associate membership. Now the associate membership, there's quite some change into the associate membership, because we say that there shall be pharmacists with 0 to 5 years. If you're able to look at the right part, you're able to see that it's pharmacists with 0 to 5 years of practice. So some pharmacists next year will not be able to register as associate members. Probably a pharmacist who was registered in 2015, 2016 may not be able to register as an associate member. They'll have to claim their full membership. We also have pharmacist interns and pharmacy students. Affiliate membership, this is open to all other allied health professionals. We have honorary membership. These are friends of the society, and we have fellowship. These are full members who have demonstrated distinguished service to the society and to the profession of pharmacy. Those are the pictorials for there's one, how to get your membership certificate, and there's another one on how to sign up as a new member. Asanteni sana. That is my presentation from for today.
I'll open up the floor to feedback and questions and whether your concerns have been addressed. I'm opening up the floor. Yes, David, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. How are you, Daniela?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you.
Thank you. So apologies, I joined in late. I was just getting home. So I don't know what you guys had discussed earlier, but from my take from the initial discussions that we had in the group, the major concern was having kind of a direction. What are we going to work on as the Young Pharmacists group, and how do we align, and what initiatives can we work on? Because what I feel is very critical. We have a huge pool of young pharmacists who are out here, but at the same time, they are not fully engaged with PSK, which is our professional society that we need to be part of. That is one thing. And other than that, now how do we bring them on board, and what are the concerns that they have? And I feel that would be the most critical bit, that as young pharmacists now, the young pharmacist group that we have coming under PSK would be to align and see how do we bring them on board, and how not only bringing them on board, but how do we address the concern that they might be having. So I think that would be the main critical bit that we need to look into as this group from my perspective. I don't know what had been discussed earlier, but that's what I feel.
Okay, I'll give a recap after I get a few more feedback. I'll give a recap of what we've discussed, but your points are well noted. Anyone else?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, David.
Yeah, and my suggestion, or my point of view would be like, when we are done to be an ad hoc committee, as David has said, I think there is a bunch of issues that are affecting young pharmacists all over, and I have just realized in one of the groups, the group is already full with more than 257 members who are young pharmacists. And I think as we move forward, when we need to look for ways that we will give hope to each and every pharmacist, those who both in school and those who are graduating and getting registered, because I think the level of hopelessness amongst young pharmacists is increasing each day, and Yeah, I think that will be one of the major area. And also, I think we'll be able to try to see on which ways can we make the practice much more better and be able to bring in these young pharmacists on board. Because I have come to realize there is a big space in pharmacy practice, but majority of young pharmacists, either they fear to go to it, or it is hardly, or it is very hard to access to it. Maybe people have different interests, and maybe some areas pharmacists never used to have interest in them, although it could have been caused by the issue of 100% absorption by the government, that majority of them, they like just knew that pharmacy practice is the community, hospital, or industry. And I think, as PSK says, one of the things it does is advocacy. I think it will also be an area whereby we'll need to come in through that. Then there was a person who had raised an issue about whether PSK can collaborate or can work with PPB and approach KMPDC to ensure that as they renew the licenses for 2021 for different hospitals, that they ensure that there is adherence of different level of private hospitals having the required personnel. You find I think on the application form by KMPDC for hospitals, they just need a license for a farm tech or such. And I think that is an area where, because you find some level 4, level 5 hospital in private sector, they had to have a pharmacy, and if they have, maybe they have one just for formality. So I think those are my view and my concern that I think they can be looked into, and I think it will come to assist and help the young pharmacists even get opportunity out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. That's all noted. Maybe we get one more feedback and then I can give my thoughts. And then we do another round. Okay, let me then do the recap now. So David, because I don't see a hand. So David, we were just in the, what we've done so far is that we've presented the PSK structure, which you're familiar with, and the standing committees and the branches. And I also gave my thoughts about how this young pharmacist group can ease into the structure of PSK. And I think the first level is for it to become a committee. And the officials of this committee and the members of this committee then will be tasked with taking care of the affairs of young pharmacists. And so far in the Constitution, we have 5 standing committees, but we're open to have standing committees that, ad hoc committees that deal with other things. But then that in the future, we aim to embed this committee as a standing committee in the Constitution, just like we have the Committee of Fellows embedded in the Constitution. Another thing I'll add, maybe from the feedback that I've received so far, is there are many issues to be dealt with. There's a lot of dejection or feeling like the profession is not supporting the young pharmacists. So I think one of the first business agenda for this young pharmacist group is to create TORs of exactly what is the committee going to be dealing with. What are the main issues? Make sort of a matrix of what are the needs, what are the ideas, what's the work plan, what are the advocacy needs, and what is needed from from the NEC and the Secretariat of PSK. For example, I've already noted those issues of advocating with KMPDC and PPP that level 4 and up should have a pharmacist, just the same way as in public sector level 4 and up hospital have pharmacists. I also think going forward, we need to have a representative of the young pharmacists or the chair of the young pharmacists in the NEC. Again, so far that that requires a constitutional change, but that's something we can aim for in the future. So as a summary, also as in response to what has been brought forward, I think the interim officials should get together and think through the terms of reference for the group. And then once that is finalized, then you proceed and start having meetings. Whenever you need support from the office or the NEC or a representative in your meetings, we're happy to organize one for you. But we don't have all the answers as the older pharmacists. These things are always ongoing advocacy issues. And then once you make your TORs and you form your meeting plan for 2021, you can plug in then to the communications and secretariat support that the office provides. So if you need posters for your events, if you need webinar links, if you need mobilization of people to attend, if you need to come into a NEC meeting and present your case, all that will be organized for you from the office. I don't know if I've addressed the feedback received so far. And again, please feel free to comment some more on the way forward.
Yeah. So actually that's fantastic, because I feel probably I wasn't that late because I had a bit of it as well. And I feel from a perspective, then it will be upon us as the members of this interim committee to chart a course in terms of how are we going to represent our other members and our colleagues, and what are the key issues and how do we make it happen? Because at the end of the day, what I feel is we might be forming a committee. We will be integrated as part of PSK because we've already always been part of PSK. But the question is, being a subcommittee or being a committee within the PSK, what value are we bringing to our members? And how are we solving the challenges that they have? As Dr. Daniela has mentioned, we have challenges where people are talking about, oh, we don't have jobs and all that. The elder pharmacists mess things up and everything. Yes, things are not the way that we want them to be. But at the end of the day, if we keep complaining or we keep pointing fingers, we won't solve them. So what angle are we coming in as now a young pharmacist group? And I think that is something that we would need to coordinate from Elizabeth, from your end as the current interim chair. Then we find a way to chart a course and move forward with support from the PSK office. That's what I can say. Thank you. Yes, back to you, Doc.
Yeah, I've noted that. So would saying that you meet and create at least some terms of reference as a leaders be a good way forward. And then, we can even make a communication then to the young pharmacist group on our social media and messaging channels about this new ad hoc committee, and this are the things they'll be dealing with. Would that be a good way forward coming out of this meeting?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Dr. Daniela. Yes, I think that's an issue. We need to sit down as a committee and come up with terms of reference so we know who gets to do what, because we're still very fresh. And so the mandate of each position, what's expected of us as a committee, what will be, so that by the time we approach members, our prospective members who are the young pharmacists, then you have it very clear, even how, like how that we'll go about helping them, so that we don't have so many gaps such that they wonder then what was the need for this group then. And then I want to encourage members to look also into the work of other young pharmacist groups under FIP. I know they're very vibrant, like the one in Nigeria is very vibrant. I can link the interim committee with members from the other committees, just for us to get some sort of mentorship. So we are not starting from, like a blank slate. I think it will come in handy for us so that we are able to progress very fast. Thank you, Dr. Daniela, for your time. We really appreciate you making time for us young pharmacists. Thank you.
You're welcome, Patricia, and I totally agree with you. There's no need to create TORs from scratch. They can be very well informed by the existing structure at FIP. And and also find out also what are the requirements of individual membership, because PSK is already a member of FIP, but the individual members of PSK, some of them are also members of FIP. So could there be like a preferential rate for young pharmacists to be individual members of FIP? And thereby benefiting a lot more from the FIP young pharmacist programs. What I know is also that in terms of voting power, when you're engaging in FIP business, they give more strength to the organization that has more members. So for example, if there's an issue being discussed or if there's some responsibilities being assigned by FIP to their member organizations, they give preference to people who have more individual members from Kenya, being members of FIP. So it would be good to encourage the young pharmacists also here to join the Young Pharmacists Forum at FIP, but that information is not readily available. And so disseminating that information to your group of young pharmacists would be, one of the TORs that you have, just being like a liaison between FIP Young Pharmacist Group and the Kenya Young Pharmacist members. There's something else I wanted to say. I think the conference that we had in October, the session for, the session that Dr. Louis was in about unemployment and issues of young pharmacists was a good start. So we can also ensure that in every PSK activity that we have, whether it's World Pharmacist Day, whether it's the annual symposium, whether it's the team building in December, that we have representation of young pharmacists in terms, whether it's a panel or, if we have a press briefing, we need to actively make sure that, we don't just ask the NEC, but we also ask a representative of young pharmacists. Even though you're not officially in the constitution, functionally, we can include you in everything that we do. So it's just a matter of when we're planning those activities, to have a slot for young pharmacists to give ideas of how they can participate.
Noted, Dr. That is noted. Dr. Esther Nyango's hand is up, Dr.
Go ahead, Esther.
Thank you, Dr. Daniela. And thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry I was late. I was just finishing up on something, but I just wanted to give a comment on Patricia's comment about how important it may be for us to plug in onto other YPG associations all around the world. And I wanted to just say that when we actually started this, or rather when we decided, with Mbao to really try and get the interim officials to come through for PSK, it's because we sat down and we thought that from the session we had on tackling unemployment during the conference, there was a need for mentorship of young pharmacists by the older pharmacists, and YPG have an amazing and elaborate mentorship program that we thought we could feed on as PSK YPG. just so that we can have an elaborate program where the young pharmacists are really mentored in a, in a sustainable way, in a very structured way. And so this would just have needed, like, for us to get resources from YPG, the Afro YPG, or the international YPG, we would just need Felicity, who's the FIP liaison for PSK YPG. We just need her to be a member, and then once she's a member, then we can actually get all these resources from the Afro YPG. So currently, like, what we're waiting for is just for Felicity to sign up as a member for FIP YPG, and then after that is done, then I think we can start feeding from the resources of the international YPG. But I also agree with Dr. Daniela about encouraging our members to join FIP, because I think there are very many resources that can help us kickstart our program, and of course just to streamline it and make it relatable, considering our context and the problems we face personally as Kenya and as young pharmacists in Kenya. So I just wanted to say that it's a good idea, and that it's work in progress. And I think that if we continue like this, then we'd have a place to start. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it's very important to have members of young pharmacists being also members of FIP, but of course it's not a must. So like you're saying, as long as the leadership is plugged in, then you can see how to get resources, policy position papers, advocacy forums. It's always easier when at least one of you is a member of the young pharmacist group on FIP. But it's just to be clear, it's not that we're saying for people to be part of the PSK Young Pharmacist Group, they must be members of this FIP group. Is there any other feedback before we wrap up? I think this then would be a good point to close the meeting, Bao. I think once we receive the TORs from this group, you can make our communication a nice, I don't know, poster or brochure or a slide that can be used to introduce this to the rest of the members of PSK. That we now have this committee, these are the officials and these are their TORs, and asking members to support them with ideas, and asking the NEC to support them with ideas and leadership as well. And I think maybe we should turn that around in December, so that as we're giving the communication about next year, which we usually do, we send members communication about events coming next year, we send them reminders to pay their membership, then that communication about this new committee can go out about.
Well in order, Daktari, well in order.
Okay. Sawa sawa. Who will volunteer to pray for us as we end, since we forgot to pray as we started? People also can pray for food once they eat. Once it's in their stomach, it's still fine.
I can pray.
Okay, Esther, go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay, so let's all believe and pray. Our kind and our loving Father in heaven, we come before you this evening. We thank you so much for the gift of life, and we thank you so much for the day that has been. We thank you so much for the deliberations that we've had as PSK, Young Pharmacist Group. And we ask, dear Lord, that you may go before us and that you may help us to, to implement everything that we have tried to talk about, oh Lord. And at the end of the day, I pray, dear Lord, that we may be able to support the young pharmacists in a way that pleases you and in a way that gives you glory. So be with us throughout the night. Take care of us until we meet again. For in Jesus' name I do pray and believe. Amen.
Asante. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. I can see David asking when we'll have a meeting. I really encourage you to meet online until this curve goes down. Right now, the office is even us, we are working remotely, so we are not always in the office at the same time. But once we resume working from the office, please feel free to use our boardroom for your meetings. You just need to give Rachel a heads up.
Asante Daktari for joining us this evening. Members, kwaherini and God bless. Have a great evening.
Okay, thank you. Bye.